Dogs, yes, people know. Most of the time people don't want to put the effort that is required for a dog to achieve harmony and balance.
In 2010, at the peak of his fame, Cesar Milan lost his dog, his wife, his money, and nearly his life, all within the same year. The untold truth behind why Dog Whisperer really ended was never about ratings or controversy. It was about a man carrying far more than any camera ever showed, and a network that walked away the moment it became inconvenient to defend him. Cesar Milan did not come from television. He came from a farm in Culiacan, Mexico, where he grew up around dogs and noticed early that animals responded to him differently than they did to anyone else. He did not chase them. He did not raise his voice. He simply moved through the space and let them figure out that nothing was a threat. Veterinary school was not financially possible for his family. So at 21 years old, with $100 his father gave him, and almost no English, he got on a bus to the border. He did not walk across. He jumped a fence, knowing full well the area on both sides was controlled by people who would harm him before offering help. He made it into California, speaking almost no English, knowing no one, and ended up briefly homeless in San Diego, eating out of dumpsters and sleeping in a dog kennel he had talked his way into working at. He made his way to Los Angeles, built a dog walking business so effective that the Los Angeles Times ran a feature story about it, and that article was the first domino. Wealthy dog owners in Los Angeles started finding him. Word spread the way word only spreads when something genuinely works. His connection to Jada Pinkett Smith came through that circle. She watched him work, became a true believer, and told him something that changed his career. If he was ever going to be on television, he needed to speak real English. She sent a tutor to his apartment in South Central the next day. Milan studied hard enough that he deliberately avoided Spanish-speaking communities for months, surrounding himself with English speakers until the language became something he could think in rather than translate. He became a United States citizen in 2009. 18 years after crossing that border with $100, Dog Whisperer with Cesar Milan premiered on September 13, 2004 on National Geographic, and the network barely promoted it. It did not matter. The show found its audience through word of mouth alone. By season 6, it was pulling 11 million American viewers per week and airing in over 80 countries. Celebrity clients came through the door. Episodes showed dogs that had been terrorizing families for years going quiet and calm within a single session. It felt like watching someone perform a very specific kind of magic. And for millions of people watching from their sofas, it worked. The problem was that the scientific community had been watching too, and from the very beginning, they did not like what they saw. The methodology Milan built the show around was called calm, assertive energy, rooted in the idea that dogs are pack animals who need a human to establish themselves as the dominant leader. The criticism from the scientific community was swift and did not stop. Dr. Nicholas Dodman, director of the Animal Behavior Clinic at Tufts University, wrote directly to National Geographic in 2006, stating that the show had set dog training back 20 years. The American Humane Association formally requested in the same year that the network pull the show entirely, calling the training methods inhumane and outdated. The American Veterinary Society of Animal Behavior issued a formal warning in 2008 that dominance-based training could generate fear and aggression in dogs rather than resolve it. The network's response was to quietly insert a disclaimer at the bottom of the screen during episodes. Do not attempt these techniques without consulting a professional, an unusual thing to attach to your own most popular show. The lawsuits added a dimension that academic criticism never had. In 2006, a producer on the show filed a legal claim alleging his dog had been injured during a filmed session. A separate lawsuit from the production company behind Dog Whisperer accused National Geographic of owing $470,000 in unpaid fees and distributing episodes on Hulu without proper rights. There was also an arbitration matter between Milan and the production company over accounting. By the show's final seasons, the legal landscape surrounding Dog Whisperer had become genuinely complicated. Multiple parties in dispute, money in question, and enough active litigation to make every new episode a more fraught proposition than any hit show should be. Advertisers monitor controversy. Networks monitor advertisers. The file was getting thicker every season. And then 2010 arrived, and everything personal collapsed at once. In February of that year, Daddy died. Daddy was a 16-year-old pit bull who had been Milan's most important working partner across the entire run of the show. A dog so naturally calm, so instinctively effective at de-escalating tense situations with other animals, that Milan used him as a living demonstration of what balanced energy actually looked like. He had been with Milan before the show existed, through the early years building a reputation in Los Angeles, through every season of the program's rise. Losing him was, by Milan's own account, like losing a piece of himself. 4 months later, his wife Illusion filed for divorce after 16 years of marriage. The settlement that followed was financially devastating. Milan was ordered to pay a one-time sum of $400,000, monthly alimony of $23,000, and $10,000 per month in child support. Illusion received primary custody of their 2 sons and a 50% stake in his production and merchandise companies. Sources close to that period described Milan as having been left both spiritually and financially depleted at the same moment his face was on television in 80 countries. The man who had spent 9 years teaching people to project calm, assertive energy could not find any calm inside himself. He attempted to take his own life. He was hospitalized after an overdose and survived. He declined medication in the aftermath, choosing to work through the depression through physical training and by throwing himself back into the work that had always given his life structure. He has spoken about it publicly and directly. "What does not kill you makes you stronger," he told the Tampa Bay Times. That became real for me. It made me closer to people. The show continued through 2011 and into 2012, but the atmosphere on the inside had changed in ways that everyone close to the production could feel. The combination of factors that had been building for years had reached a weight the network was no longer willing to carry. Declining ratings, a scientific establishment publicly calling the methodology harmful, a legal situation involving multiple ongoing disputes, and a host recovering from a private crisis that the cameras never came close to capturing. National Geographic is at its core a science institution. Dog Whisperer, by its final seasons, was a show that major scientific organizations were publicly saying set animal training back by decades. That tension was never going to resolve itself in the show's favor. The official end came in September 2012 after 9 seasons and 176 episodes. Milan announced it on Facebook, thanking fans for their support while saying almost nothing about the real reasons. The cast stayed silent. The network stayed silent. The show simply stopped. What happened to Cesar Milan after? He is 56 years old, net worth estimated at $20 to $25 million, and by most measures more active in 2026 than at any point since the show ended. He launched Cesar Milan Live, a touring stage show using shelter dogs with no editing bay to smooth over anything that went wrong in real time. He returned to television in 2014 with Cesar 911, and again in 2021 with Better Human, Better Dog on National Geographic and Disney+, currently in its 4th season as of 2026. He built a 43-acre dog psychology center in Santa Clarita, California. He co-founded the Halo Collar, a GPS-enabled training tool that became a significant business. He launched the Pack Leadership Community in March 2025, a live virtual coaching membership through his Training Caesar's Way platform. His YouTube channel has 2.7 million subscribers. His son, Andre, now 31, works as a professional dog behaviorist and co-starred with his father on Dog Nation. His son, Calvin, now 26, has built his own public profile. Milan himself splits time between Los Angeles and international training events, still commanding audiences who want to watch the same man who crossed a border with $100 and built one of the most recognizable television careers in the history of cable. The show ended. The man did not.